Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up, folks? Steven, what's up, man? Stedman, I'm sorry. Joseph, what's up, dude? Going through this little track I wrote a few years ago, trying to remember my chord progression for this solo section. What y'all got going on, man? What are y'all working on? What are y'all working on? What's some things y'all are working through as we let other people get on here this morning? So we're going B minor, A flat. When playing progressions in songs, is it possible you can play arpeggios, passing notes? For instance, let me see here. Let's see your comment. For instance, the progression is 1-6-5-4. Can I play arpeggios for all of the passing notes? I'm wanting to say, if I'm understanding your question correctly, I want to say you can. Like, your options are endless, man. Like, just as far as the arpeggios or anything for that matter, like there's plenty of passing notes. And the thing about the passing notes, you can kind of stick them in wherever you please. It's really about making sure the foundation of whatever, if you're playing a solo, you can pretty much get away with almost anything. But when it comes to like your bass line, as long as that foundation is there, you can get away with the passing notes in between. It just, at this point, it's just a matter of what you're wanting to play. Ghana, I see you. Cody, what's good, man? Yes, sir. So yeah, you can kind of get away with almost anything playing a progression. It's just a matter of what you want to add in there. Let me see if I can. So for instance, like this groove here. Remember the actual progression, but there are different things you can kind of get away in. Like if I were to start soloing over that particular thing, definitely I could get away with the passing notes. And it's about kind of being discreet with it in a sense, because if you play, who was that? Victor Wooten says you're always one note away. So basically, I can play anything as long as I'm hitting the right notes. Thank you for answering that for me. Well, I would say yes, but at the same time, it's like, what are you considering the right notes? because on the same thing, you're always one note away. And sometimes what may be in the scale might not be the only thing you're restricted to, depending on what you're playing. You know what I'm saying? There's some chromatic stuff you can get away in that, and it might not necessarily fit the scale, but you can get away with playing it. And the timing of it is just, as long as it feels good, you can kind of get away with it. Now, some people will argue that, especially a lot of theory heads, when they can't make sense of it. But when it makes sense in terms of the feel of it, and it doesn't hurt your ears what you're playing, it's a lot of stuff you can kind of get away with. Well, I love the modes, and I see that you love them too. I meant that correct progression. Got you. Yeah, I need confidence when I hit stages. Things in pocket mode and get stuck. Yeah, that's what we're here to talk about, Stead. That's what we're here to talk about today, man. So I definitely want to address that issue. I'm gonna take another attempt at this solo real quick and let some more people get on. Let some folks get woke up. I know this is early, man. Let some more people get woke up, and I'm gonna wake myself up with this. I don't know why I always say that. I've been up a while. I just haven't been playing. So y'all get to hear me mess up and everything. I keep it real for y'all. Y'all get to hear me mess up and hear that it's not always polished. Different tone. I think I've explored that enough. All right, so let's see. I missed some comments I saw while I was goofing around here. Good morning, Oscar Christopher D. Man, good morning. Melvin, good morning. Joseph, good morning. Who is that? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Pietor. I know I'm butchering that. I'm gonna say Smart Point. Hello, it's 2 p.m. Best regards. Okay. Let me see here. All right, so let's get to some questions. What am I playing? Was I playing the modes? A variation. I was going back and forth in this particular. I know it's in minor, so I'm playing more so of a minor scale. I'm playing like B minor, and then I'm playing the 2 because I'm in the key of F sharp. I'm playing the 4 was minor though. When it went to that little change, I'm soloing over that, and then I'm soloing over that A flat minor. And I'm going back and forth between the minor scales and then the relative major scales, soloing over that. Like when I'm going at that A flat minor, I'm also soloing over F major. I'm sorry, yeah, F major. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, that's what I was doing. Y'all, it's early, so Forgive me, I'm thinking too hard. So yeah, I was just soloing back and forth from that minor to the relative major on both of them, and then I'm going in and out just with different ideas, using some of the stuff that somebody asked me earlier about the passing notes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and again, I always have to give this disclaimer. I feel at least once every 2 to 3 months, I always have to give this disclaimer that I'm not the most technical guy in the world. Now, if you're looking for somebody who's going to be just theoretically sound all the time, I am not that guy. And I don't say that, and hopefully that didn't come across the wrong way. At the same time, I know exactly what it is I want to do when it comes to this instrument. Sometimes everything I'm hearing in my head, I can't do it immediately, so that's why I practice, just like the same reason you do. But when it relates to what I want to communicate through this instrument, I know what I want to communicate, and I know exactly how to do that. And again, if it comes to something that I want to communicate and I don't quite know how to do it, I'll simply go and I'll study and I'll learn and I'll do those things. So, yeah, I did take theory and all that kind of stuff. But man, back in however many years ago, I'll tell my age if I do that, which I don't mind. I just had a birthday. I'm 37. But when I went to school and took theory, that was something that I always struggled with. And the biggest thing for me, and this is kind of tied into our point today. The biggest thing, that the reason why it was a struggle for me, because my ear always would win, so to speak, before my eyes would figure out what was going on. So I didn't know how to connect the two for a long time. It's like I would take the theory class just to get the grades, but I didn't know on paper how to connect that to what I was hearing in my ears. I could always play the stuff. A lot of the stuff in the classes, I heard it, but when you started talking about it and writing it out on the chalkboard, man, I would be so confused. I would have no clue. Some people in my class, just like some people I see now, are just like, seem like they're theory whizzes, and they can just name off all of this stuff, and it's just like, that's not that's not my testimony. So I think that's one of the reasons I teach the way I do, because I want to teach from a practical standpoint that the average person who is not as advanced in music can understand. Because at the end of the day, do we talk music or do we play music? I'll let y'all ponder on that while I read some more. While I read some more of these questions. Let me see here. I think I stopped at Joseph. Joseph asked, was I playing modes? And so hopefully I answered your question, Joseph. And I spoke to Christopher, and Christoph. It's Christoph. Christoph. I'm sorry. I've been calling you Christopher, man. My apologies if I've been doing that. Good morning. I hope that you and your family are doing well. Yeah, man, we're good. Oscar. Joseph said, how can I build my hearing? Joseph got the questions this morning. I ain't mad at you, man. He said, how can I build my hearing in outlining the progression of songs, because I'm not fast at doing it? You have to do it more. I mean, that's the short answer for it. You just have to do it more. Listen to more music, and start paying attention to, even when you just ride in your car, start listening to progressions of music and being able to name out. If you don't know the number system, that will be something that will really, really help you to do that quickly. Learning the number system, being able to identify where random songs are going. Like if you're listening, and you can start out with more popular music because that's a little more simple. If you try to get into complex music right away, you're definitely going to be confused, like getting into jazz fusion and that kind of thing. But if you start out listening to like some pop stuff, pop music, and just get yourself in the habit, or even going back and listen to old school R&B stuff, My Girl, Temptations, all that kind of stuff, you can listen to those simple staple bass lines and really figure out, okay, this is where this song is moving to. It helps you to develop a lot more. And the more you do that, you start to develop even faster with being able to understand where a song is going. And a good practice that really helped me out over the years is learning what system works for you. I have talked about this several times. I was a person that had a hard time retaining songs. Like it would take me a long time to learn songs, not because I wasn't putting it in practice. It's just my way of learning. Everybody is not the same. Everything, what worked for me may not work for you. So what I did, because I would spend, like, when I first moved to Atlanta and I started playing at this mega church, we would get so much music, and there was a culture shock for me because I wasn't used to having to learn that much music that quickly. And so we would get the music. Our rehearsals would be on Thursday. Generally, they would send the music out either Monday or Tuesday. I mean, we just finished a Sunday service. They'll send the music out Monday or Tuesday. And from that time to rehearsal, I would be in it. I'm talking about I would be on it, learning as much as I possibly could. And still, I would get to rehearsals and I would be forgetting stuff. And not because I haven't practiced, I hadn't put in the time. I just hadn't figured out, at that time, I hadn't figured out my system of learning, what worked best for me. So what I ended up doing over time, after making mistakes or getting there on Sunday and still forgetting parts, I started writing it down. I started using a number system and I started writing out the songs. I figured out my own little charting system, what worked for me, and that saved me so much time on learning songs. That helped me to retain. Now, people, you think I'm joking? People laughed at my little charting system. This is a folder that I have. This is pretty sad, but this is a folder I literally have of songs that we would do, like literally. This ain't all of them. This is just probably within the last 3 to 4 years, the songs that I have. But I learned, for me, that was one of the better ways for me to retain the music, because what happened after me charting it, the first thing when I'm writing it down, it was kind of going into my, I was retaining it as I was writing it down. And I was just getting the songs a lot quicker. And you can go through there, and where it would take me hours to learn a song, I can chart a song out. When I first started, I could chart a song out in about 30 minutes. And then as I did it more, I got quicker and faster with being able to chart out songs more efficiently. And so I got to the point where I could sit, like, if they threw a song at me right before service, I could sit down, chart the song out about 5 to 10 minutes, So I had that kind of down. So that's what worked for me in answering your question. And also continuing to listen to music, because when it comes to my own personal music or other things, I don't necessarily have to chart it down or write it down, especially when it's something that's a little more involved. I just make sure I devote that time to the stuff that's a little harder. I devote my time to that, and the stuff that's a little more simple, I chart it out, and it makes it easy for me. When it comes to like a lick or something that's in the song, I make sure to notate that there's a lick there, and I might spend the time learning whatever that lick is, and I just make a note in my charting that there's a lick there, and I write that down. And so it saves me a lot of time. And over time, as I play that song 1 or 2 times, by the third time, I really don't need to chart anymore. And it's just one of those things. I keep it there just in the event of something getting off, me losing my spot. I keep that chart there as a safety net. And after a while, after I've played the song so many times, I take the chart away. It's just kind of, that's my process. And I learned what works best for me. So people can laugh or they can do whatever they want to do, but I learned what worked best for me. And so that's what I encourage you to do. Learn what system, explore what systems work best for you in terms of learning. Your ear might be strong, you just need to train it, or you might need some extra assistance with writing something down. So let's see here with some other questions that I missed. All right, sounds sweet. Thanks, Joseph. I know I'm way behind y'all. I'm trying to catch up real quick. Good morning. Hope that you and your family are well. Yeah, man. I'm glad that you got your base and your coffee in hand. All right, so Wallace, what's up, man? Nezron Music, what's up? Nathaniel, I see you. What's good? You don't look past 25. I'm definitely 37, Doc. Appreciate that. The loop you played is interesting because it's easy to play B minor and B major. Yeah, it's kind of easy once you kind of got the progression. It's a pretty common progression. That progression, you would hear a progression similar to that if you listen to some old school R&B, like especially like a Marvin Gaye. That song was written. I wrote that song 8, 9 years ago. And I had that kind of Marvin Gaye feel in my head when I was writing the song. So yeah, that progression is pretty common in terms of that style of music. So yeah, it's a pretty common progression. Let's see here. Is practicing at home and not playing with a band a disadvantage? Joseph asked that question. No, it's not. I would say a balance of both is good. Being able to have access to a band or being able to play and figure out things with the band is great. But that time that you need at home to really work out the kinks in your stuff, I mean, that private time that you get to really dig in, it really helps you to be polished a little bit more when you get to a band situation. Because the thing you don't want to happen, and I understand the context of your question, but here's the thing you don't want to happen. When you get in a band situation, you don't want to always be the weakest link. So if they're throwing out new material, if they're throwing out new stuff, new ideas, you want to be able to catch it really quick. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to come as a result of the time you put in at home, the time you put in on your own time and really digging in that time. Those are the things that will help you to be able to, be able to be more efficient when you're out with other people, when you're rehearsing or when you're practicing with other people. So the objective is to spend your time at home, do the necessary fundamentals at home as much as you can, do as much practice as you can, but yeah, you do need to interact and be with other musicians, other people to get more inspiration, to get more ideas, to get some other directions that you're not going to probably think of on your own. So I would say both, having a balance of both worlds is definitely a good thing. So I need confidence when I get on stages. Okay, I got you. I did a show in Columbia, South Carolina, and I was at the program playing Tet, and I know the songs, but I couldn't get loose. I know the feeling, man. We're definitely I'm trying to get through the questions so I can get to my actual topic for today. This show in particular was a big show, and I just got stuck. I totally understand, Jermaine. My biggest problem right now, I have to learn over 200 covers for business and wedding band. My sample chord chart is too little because I play precisely like the original song. Hopefully I got smart point. Hopefully I really, with what I said just a minute ago, kind of help you add a little bit more clarity to your chord charts. Hopefully what I said, I don't want to say that same thing over and over again. So hopefully what I said earlier added a little more clarity to how you can kind of spend time even with learning your chord charts. Tongue twister. Learning your chord charts and also, just kind of working through learning some of the things in the song. Talk a little bit about bass tone, especially to get deep up in front and low and muddy without mix being too muddy. I'll try to get to that next one. I'm not going to guarantee I get to that today because we're almost 30 minutes in and I haven't even touched the topic. So I'll try to get to that if we have time. I have a drum machine with a bunch of different bass lines. I've been working through solos, different beats, mostly trying different modes. Yeah, that's definitely good. Nathaniel, that's definitely a good thing to do. I don't know notes to read on fly. Yeah, I think I'm understanding what you're saying. I don't know notes to read on the fly. Yes, okay, good, cool, no problem. Can you share in fly how you transcribe pop song? Hold on. Do you know, smart point, do you know, do you do know the number system, right? That's my next question. When is your next lesson live? Joseph, is every Tuesday morning at 7:30, and if there's ever a change, I normally let you guys know. So here's the thing I want to get to really quick, and because I don't want to false advertise and say I'm talking about something, and I've been talking about something completely different. The thing, I got an email or a message from maybe one of you guys that watched the lives, and it was something concerning the whole thing about confidence and just trying to build confidence and when you're playing or getting intimidated when you go to a situation and there's other musicians there or maybe another bass player that's better, or if you're playing different instruments and you're on this broadcast, some other musician who may play the same thing you play, but they do it a little better in your mind. They they get a little bit more attention. They know how to do the fancy stuff. And dealing with that confidence of how do I get up and do my thing now, or dealing with stage fright, or dealing with just forgetting. It's so many facets of that. I don't want to just narrow it down to just, okay, there's somebody who is clearly better than I am on my instrument, and now I got to go up and play it either in front of them or play after them or that kind of thing. I totally understand it. And I know this is a topic that I know very well, a subject that I know very well, because this is something that this is me trying to be transparent with you guys. I dealt with this for years. And it was just one of those things. I think my biggest reason for dealing with it so long is because I'm my own worst critic. I can critique me better probably than anybody else can, because I hear every mistake. I tell you guys, like I said earlier, my ears are like, yeah, I hear everything. So including my own mess ups. And so I'm normally hard on myself. Or also when I'm exposed to when I was exposed to other great musicians, and I instantly noticed where I was not, and you start the comparison game. And what I want to leave you with, not give you a whole bunch of sad stories, but I want to leave you in this broadcast with some things, with some tools, with some things you can kind of take away from this to help you to get out of that, rut, to get out of that thinking. The biggest thing, the number one thing for me that affected me was my mindset, how I viewed myself. My self-image was the number one thing that affected how I played. And you think that the two things aren't related, but they are completely related. Your self-image completely affects the way that you play. And that can be you being overly confident or overly cocky. You can think you're doing a whole bunch of stuff when in essence you're not really that great, or you're being a pain in the butt to the band because you're not learning the music because you think it's not necessary for you to learn all the parts. It could be that extreme, or it can be the extreme opposite. You do the homework, you do all the work, you learn the song, but when you get on the gig, you still freeze up. It's like you don't know what's going on, or you panic, or you have anxiety, or whatever the case may be. I've experienced it all, from just not the cockiness side of it at all, but the extreme other side, in terms of just kind of freezing up and feeling like I wasn't cut out for the gig, or so many other things that would come up. And the sad part is, I knew the stuff, I knew the music, and I had more than enough ability to go in there and kill the gig. But it's just one of those things. I would freak out, and I would start panicking, and I would start self-doubting, second guessing myself, second guessing my own ability. It could be me being intimidated around another musician that has a name. Somebody that has a reputation. This person is really, really good, and you get this overwhelming anxiety because, oh man, I don't want to let this person down, or I don't want this person to think I suck. And then once you start thinking like that, guess what you're going to do on the gig? Because now your energy and your attention has went to trying to please this person instead of realizing what you came there for. That's another thing. You have to be aware of how you think about yourself. Be aware of what your thoughts are concerning yourself. Number two, be very aware and know why you started doing what you started doing, or why you took that gig. If you're only playing for money, you know what I'm saying? I understand it. I get it. I'm a professional musician who has a family that, I got to take care of my family. So I get it. If money is your motivation, I'm not kicking you or knocking you for that. But your why has to be big enough that you don't let the outside stuff and the internal stuff stop you from doing your best every single time. Your why has to be big enough. Why are you doing what you're doing? Most people that know me, and most of you guys that follow me, I don't consider myself to be super religious, so to speak, but I do consider myself to be a believer. And what I do, I give all glory and honor to God. That's my thing. If that's not your conviction, no sweat. I'm not trying to force anything on anybody, but that's just my personal conviction. And hopefully that can, give somebody else some inspiration, some encouragement there. But once I started focusing back on the reason I do what I do. Now, my number one reason, I'm giving you mine real quick. My number one reason is I want to please God with what I do. When I play, I want to make sure that, like he's happy, he's satisfied with what I'm giving him in terms of my presentation. You know what I'm saying? That those are the things I want to make sure at the end of the day, like, man, if I had to have an audience of one person and that was God that I had to play to, how would he feel after I finished playing? Would it come across as me showing off? Would it come across as me just trying to get a reaction from a crowd? Or would it come across as sincere, and would it come across as like passionate? You know what I'm saying? And so those are the things that I had to start thinking about. And once I took all of that other stuff off of the table and started really focusing on my number one reason, is trying to make sure that he's pleased with what I'm doing. Like, make sure everything I gave was pure, it was passionate, and it was sincere. Now, the second thing is I want to make sure that I'm connecting with the audience, or connecting with the people that I'm playing this music for. I want to make sure I'm inspiring somebody. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure that I'm, with whatever I can do through this being my voice, this being my second voice. I want to make sure, meaning I'm holding this up, but I'm referencing whatever my instrument is that I have in my hand. That's my second voice. When I speak to people, it comes down to the core value of who you are as a person. When I personally speak to people, it's not my intention to tear people down. It's not my intention to pull people down, make people feel bad about themselves. It's not my intention to make someone feel worse after talking to me. You know what I'm saying? It's just, when you talk to people who are selfish, they're only about themselves. Everything is about them. Everything is centered around them, how good they are, how well they can do what they do, and you should be as good as I am. I never want people to feel that way as it relates to my playing or anything. It's like, yes, I want you to be inspired and motivated and encouraged to say, hey, man, I hope to get that good one day, or he makes me want to go home and practice, but I don't want to have the sense of making somebody feel like they're less than I am because I've developed my skill a little bit more than they have. That's not the intention of what I do. So making sure that I'm connecting with people. And so once I start putting those bigger things in the front of my mind and making sure I'm delivering that song and being pure and honest with everything I'm trying to play, all of that other stuff leave out. And so now I get to the point, it's funny, I had a conversation with someone just on yesterday about almost this very same thing. And this particular guy, one of my mentors, was telling me, he's like, man, I just got to the point that I didn't care what other people thought about what it was I had to do. And that's not in a negative thing. It's just like, it doesn't matter if you like what I play or not. This is who I am, and I'm unapologetic about it. So once you get that mentality of it, you're being pure and you're being true to who you are as a musician. So if you just started playing, 2-3 years ago, and this is the level you are at, and you're working your behind off, this is where you are. Even if you've been playing for longer, we all have different stories. I've been playing a long time now, for well over 17, 18 years. And I'm not where I want to be as a bass player, but this is where I am, and I embrace that. I continue to strive. I continue to grow, to get better and to get stronger as a player. But at the end of the day, this is where I am. This is who I am. This is what I have to offer. I am not Victor Wooten. I am not Marcus Miller. I am not Stanley Clark. I am not all of these legends. I'm not Jaco Pastorius. So I won't pretend to be. I won't try to play a 4-string bass to try to prove a point, just to make other people happy. When you can be honest about who you are and allow that to fully come through your instrument and not try to play the competing game, I think that confidence that you need, you'll find it. When you can consistently do that every single time that you practice, every single time that you play, you perform, you present, you minister with your instrument, you can be 100% you and not worry about how Jermaine would how he would play this song, or how any other named player, how they would do it, or how this person would do it, or what does this person think about this lick that I just played. Who cares what they think? And at the end of the day, we all want to feel, especially from our musical peers, if you're in a band, you want to feel that sense of like, man, they really dug what I did. So I'm not disregarding that. We all want that. We all want that sense of gratification and knowing that somebody really enjoyed what we did. But if you place all of the stock on getting that gratification from somebody else, you take away your own power. You take away your own power to make yourself happy with what you're doing, to make yourself feel good about the performance you just gave. You strip that energy, you strip that power away from yourself. So let me go back through some comments that I missed, because if not, I'll be on here for 2 hours trying to read everybody. Lionel, watching from Germany, man. Greetings to you. Thank you for watching. Joseph, thank you, man. This part about your number one reason for doing this, wish I could cut it and send it to some of my choir members. Hey, I'll just share this video after it's all said and done, I guess. Who is that? Oh my God, bro, you're nailing it. Thanks much. I'm here trying to repeat one of your very important speeches. You just speak and forget this is live. But are you? That's pretty great. But you are, and that's pretty great. I don't understand, Lionel. I don't understand what you meant. You probably responded to something that I said. So disregard the fact I don't understand. But yeah, guys, that's, to me, I really want, this is something that's a passion of mine. Here's my passion as a musician. You're awesome, man. Love yourself. Thank you, Jake. Here's my number one, more my theme or my goal or my mission as a musician or as a human being. I've been given the platform of music as a gift by God. But it was up to me to work on that, because I didn't come out the womb being able to play. I started late. I didn't really start playing until I was like 12. I didn't pick up bass and really take it seriously. Well, let me rephrase that. I didn't start bass, I've said this before, until I was like 15. I didn't take it seriously till way later. So I feel like I had a late start. But the gifting of music was always there. I had a natural talent, or a natural gift rather, to play music, but I struggle, y'all. Y'all don't even understand. A lot of y'all hear me now, and you were just meeting me. But if you had heard me years ago, I sounded a mess, like a complete mess on the bass. I had an ear for it, but I didn't have it developed. So hopefully this will stand as some encouragement for some of you guys that are watching. I always had an ear for music, but I was not always good at music. I was not a prodigy. I worked really, 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 really hard to get just to this level. I mean, and I'm not at the level that I would like to be at, but I worked really, 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 really hard. And it was a struggle for me because, again, I had a hard time retaining stuff. I had a hard time, like I would learn something and I would immediately forget it. We could spend time, it could be a person that, one of my mentors that, showed me something. And when I say mentor, I don't mean that I had somebody doing lessons with me all the time. I did not have that at all. I would run into people periodically that would show me things, or that would sit down with me every now and again, like maybe, once or twice a year. I would run into certain people who would pour into me. But that was pretty much it. Everything I had to pretty much get on my own. I had an older brother, I have an older brother who is a musician, and he would show me a lot of stuff that he would, pick up along the way, and that was, a lot of that stuff was on guitar. A lot of the simple stuff like quartet music and blues and all that kind of stuff, I kind of picked it up because I could hear it. But when it got to just being able to really play the bass, I struggled. I really struggled because there was a lot of stuff I didn't understand. I was a guitar player first. So I didn't really understand the bass the way I needed to, and I had to work really hard. I made a lot of mistakes. So I pray and I hope that you guys don't take the things that I share in these live broadcasts, you don't take them lightly, because the things that I share in these lessons, when I do these YouTube videos, the things that I share, they came from the result of a lot of hard work, a lot of practice, a lot of embarrassment on gigs, embarrassment in services, embarrassment just in general with making a lot of mistakes to get to the place that I am now. You know what I'm saying? That's who is that, Mr. Phenom? Yeah, man. It's you just be surprised. It came from a lot of mistakes, a lot of you know times that I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up. I mean, especially when you get on stage and you feel like you completely bomb, and it's like, man, what am I doing? Why am I even doing this? Why am I even holding this instrument? Like, or you hear somebody else or nowadays, thanks to social media, you hear a little 8-year-old kid that gets on here and smash a song that you had trouble learning when you were probably at that age, or even now, some of you guys might even still struggle with certain things. And then you hear these little kids that are coming out of the woodworks that are killing, and it seems like they're doing it effortless. It can have you questioning your own. What you're doing is important. Thank you, man. It can have you questioning your own existence in terms of like musical existence. Like, should I even be doing this? Like, do I even have anything to offer? Yes, absolutely. I can answer that question for you. You definitely have something to offer. Here's the thing. We are all getting given a certain set of skills for a particular reason. My reason is not your reason. Your reason is not my reason, and so on. You have a set of skills for a reason. It might just be to add encouragement to your local community, to your local church, your local boys and girls club. I mean, here's the thing, guys. If I were to die, God forbid, if I were to die tomorrow, I don't want to just be known for leaving you guys with licks. Just to be clear. I don't want to be that guy. I'm known for helping people figure out, how to play a dominant scale better, or how to play something pentatonic and make it sound good in a song. I don't want to just be that guy. I want to be the one to encourage you to take full advantage of every single opportunity that you have to do something to make a difference with your platform that you've been given. Because that's all that I'm doing. I started speaking and sharing at schools, and I don't know why I'm going this direction. And we're talking about confidence, and these are all things for me that help me in my confidence. You'll be shocked. I took it upon myself because I had a passion for helping. I felt music dying, especially from where I'm from. I felt music personally dying, and people just losing interest in the music, in the craft, in just learning an instrument, picking up an instrument, and taking it seriously. And I felt it dying. And I'm going to check that comment in just a second. So I took it upon myself to start traveling back home to Mississippi. Good morning. I started traveling back home and visiting schools and trying to inspire a lot of these kids, because I'm like, I'm a producer, and so I know a lot of it is moved to electronic. Everybody using virtual instruments. I use a lot of virtual instruments. But again, it doesn't take away from the fact that I'm a real musician. And I'm sorry if I offended anybody by that statement, but I'm talking about I took time out and learned how to play a physical instrument. You know what I'm saying? Like, more the traditional type learning. And so if anybody's just a beat maker, no offense, no disrespect, hopefully, to any of you guys, but I'm saying the art of learning an instrument and going through the heartache of trying to figure this thing out, I felt like that was dying. So I wanted to do something about it. So I took my platform at the time, after I moved to Atlanta and started doing a lot of things and traveling the world and being known as, a professional musician, that gave me a platform. And I didn't realize I had a platform before then. I just didn't know it. I guess it became more obvious to me once I started doing bigger things and people were looking up to me and noticing the things that I was doing. Because I had the same platform. It wasn't as tall, but I had the same platform when I was playing for my local church. Back before I even moved to Atlanta, when I was in Alabama playing at a church over there, I had the same platform then. I had influence then. I didn't know it. So it took me to become a professional to now start using this thing that I had all of the time. So I hope a lot of you will start walking away from this saying, how can I use my platform to inspire? Here's my thing that I said was my purpose, my mission, to motivate, encourage, and inspire others to go after what it is passionate to them. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's my mission, to inspire. Thank you, man, Ela. Ela, I think I'm reading that right. But that's my mission. That might not be your mission, but I hope some of you, some out of however many people who are watching this, at least one or two of you would take that away to go to your local boys and girls club, go to a nursing home, go to a hospital, go to a church, go somewhere and share what you have with somebody who's maybe down on their luck, man. Somebody who, just want to hear something uplifting, something pleasing to the ear. Work on your gift. Don't try to go after the big gig. That stuff, if it's for you, it'll happen. You normally found, here's the thing, guys. The thing you're trying to get to as a musician is found in the trenches that other people don't want to go into. It's found in serving others. Most of my notoriety and most of the things that I'm known for now has came as a result of me trying to make myself available to serve others. That's the secret that nobody wants to talk about. Martins, I see you. What's up? That's the secret that most people don't want to talk about because it's not glamorous. It's not me posting something on social media and everybody, looking at how great I am, or looking at who I'm on the road with, or looking at, hey, I'm taking a picture in front of the Great Wall of China. It's like, it's not that stuff. What's the greater things is you serving somebody who is less fortunate. They don't have to be less fortunate in terms of monetary wise, but they might not be as fortunate as you are to have the gift of music. And we all know what the gift of music is able to do. You know what I'm saying? We know just by being musicians what that gift of music is able to do for you when you feel a certain way and somebody plays a certain thing, you hear a certain song, or even you can pull out your instrument and begin to play something. You know what I'm saying? Like just taking something that simple, how it could completely change your mode personally, what you're feeling inside, you can connect with that. And so if you could take that same connection that you have outside of the four walls of where you're practicing, outside of the four walls of your gig, because, we're trying to connect with people there, but let's be honest, we're trying to get a check. Let's just be honest. We're trying to get a check. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being compensated for what you've worked really hard to do. I'm not against that at all, trust me. But if you could take it out of the four walls of what you normally do and start trying to look at ways of adding value to other people with your gift, with what you have, because it is a gift. If you can play Mary Had a Little Lamb on a bass and that's all you can do, don't think that you don't have a gift. You have a gift. You have to work it. You have to grind and push through and get better. That's no magic pill to it. There are people who are born with these natural abilities and they get it a lot easier than we do, but nonetheless, they have to work at it. None of us are exempt from the work. Nobody. I don't even care if you're a prodigy. You can sit down and just start playing, but guess what? That prodigy doesn't get out and play a Beethoven piece as soon as they come out of the womb. They have to work on it. They have to work on it. It might come a little easier for them. That's okay. Get over that fact that other people might get it a little easier than you do. Like even me at this stage of my career, there's some things, if you're just starting, obviously if you're watching this video, you're looking to me for something. So there's some things I'm going to get a little easier than you are simply because I put in more work and I put in a little bit more time, or I might not have put in more work. I figured something out that helped me to cut down on the time of what it is I'm doing. So get that out of your mind that, man, I can't get it. Yes, you can. It's going to take a little while. It might take you a little longer. But you can get it. You can figure it out and figure out how to start adding value to other people with what it is you do. Sorry, guys, if I seem a little intense this morning, but this is something I'm really passionate about this. I'm really passionate about helping others with what we do. I'm so tired of seeing ego-driven, arrogant musicians who were phenomenal players but terrible people. I said it. I'm really tired of seeing that because we think we're gods because we're good on an instrument. People have the audacity to think they're better or more special than someone else because, you know what I'm saying, they have this thing about them. And there's a lot of players that I see is this really, they have this thing that we come across. I'll just say we, because I don't want to seem like I'm saying they. We have this thing as musicians, especially after we get a little good and we get to playing with an artist or we get to doing a pretty good gig. We have this thing, we walk around with this cockiness and this arrogance that we're better than somebody else. And the reality of it is, no, you're not. You've just been gifted with something that you can help somebody else with. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you should look at it. Be confident in what you do. Be super confident in what you do. Nobody can take away from you. If you put the time in, you've done the work, yeah, be confident in what you do. When you get up on that stage, give it all you got. And on that stage, I had to learn that the hard way, talking about confidence. I'm still talking about confidence, guys. On that stage, when you get on it, that stage is yours when you get on it. But at the end of the day, don't be cocky. Don't be arrogant. Because the same way you have this gift, I don't care how many years you put into it, the same way you have this gift, it all can be taken away from you just like that. You can have a stroke tomorrow and can't use any of your limbs, and you're left dependent on somebody else doing something else for you. You know what I'm saying? You're left dependent on somebody else doing it for you. And you're left with how you used to be. Everything, I used to be able to do this, and I used to be able to do that. So that sense or that spirit of being arrogant or cocky, man, come on. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. So I really hope a musician who feels this way, who feels cocky, will watch this. I really, really, really hope that they at least watch this part, because I'm so grateful to God to be able to do what I do. Music gave me an outlet that I didn't have. Most of you don't know this, but I shared this one time before in one of my videos. I had an accident when I was 6 years old. It almost took my life. I lost my left heel due to a lawnmower accident. So if anybody ever seen me in person and notice I walk with a slight limp. And I used to be really, really talking about confidence now. I didn't mean to share this, but I used to be really, really embarrassed of that because I was different. And obviously when you're different, you stand out. Everybody notices it. But now I'm not. I don't feel any type of way about that anymore. Simply because of the fact it's a testimony of why I'm here and why I do what it is that I do. My why of what I do is bigger now, because I understand there are a lot of people who are just like me, who may not went through a life changing thing like that, ordeal like that, or something that was really tragic like that, but they might have something that they deal with mentally, and I know I'm able to connect with these people. I know that there's something inside of me that is just grateful that I had an outlet that was music. I couldn't do sports because my physical condition wouldn't allow me to do sports. So at the time, as I got into my later surgeries, because I went through a lot of surgeries during life, but as I continued, music gave me an outlet to do something, and being able to have a gift to do multiple instruments, not just one, it gave me an outlet, and it gave me hope that I could do something that was of meaning, something that was of value, especially as a young kid. You know what I'm saying? When you can't do sports and all of your friends are doing sports, and you can't do this, you're stuck with a whole bunch of can'ts. And to have an outlet of music that said I could and I can do this, man, I'm just, even at this age, I'm just so grateful that I'm still, because my accident was over 30 years ago. But just to be grateful to be able to do this and to share this with somebody who may have experienced something similar, or who just may be down on their luck or whatever, that I'm able to encourage you and inspire you that you can do this and you can keep going. Guys, I haven't always played this way. I haven't always sounded like this. I guarantee you, all of these bass educators and these people, these gurus that you follow, are not going to tell you the truth. No shade to them, but a lot of these people aren't going to tell you the truth. We like to give off this idea that we're perfect and we've polished every single thing that we've played. No, don't believe the hype. We all struggle with different things. I'm just grateful to be able to share a little bit of what I do, and I'm grateful, super grateful to you people who decided to follow me and take any advice from me. I mess up from time to time. Matter of fact, I had to take one of my videos down because I realized I made a mistake on my last video. I called something a scale that it wasn't necessarily a scale. It was more so a diminished pattern, and I called it a scale. And because I don't want to further confuse people, I took that video down. I got to make some edits to it. I'll repost it so you guys can get the exercise. But that's my point. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes even in me trying to help. You can still make mistakes from time to time. And it's always embarrassing when you make a mistake. But don't let that mistake defeat you. Don't let that mistake stop you from becoming your best version of yourself. Don't let that mistake do that. We all make these mistakes. The thing is, be honest with people. Be vulnerable in your musicianship with people. You don't have to walk around telling everybody your business, but be vulnerable as a musician. Think about the musicians that you admire the most, are the ones you remember. There's something in their music that was pure, that was honest, that you connected with. And that might not be the musician who can play all the chops. Think about it. Just think about that for a second. It might not be the musician who has all the knowledge and all the know-how and just knows all the skills, knows all the theory, and just can play you under the table. The ones that you connect with the most are the ones who come across as passionate and sincere. You might admire some of these other players who are just phenomenal. They all inspire us. But the ones that you connect with and the ones that can make you cry are the ones who there's something deeper than just their technical ability. So I encourage you all, if you're dealing with a confidence issue, I know that it was a personal thing for me. If you're dealing with a confidence issue, be honest with who you are. In the music you play, be honest. And I can guarantee you, if you begin to be honest about these things and who you are, those confidence issues will begin to diminish. It's going to take time because this didn't happen overnight. This whole confidence thing, it's been years in the making. You know what I'm saying? It's been years in the making. Your whole confidence issue didn't happen overnight. You didn't want all of a sudden get to a gig and all of a sudden you lost it because somebody was in the audience you didn't expect to be in the audience. No, you've been dealing with this confidence issue for a while. It just probably reared its head when the right person showed up. So give it time. But start being pure, being honest. Start trying to add value to somebody else, giving more than you take. Don't look for an applause all the time when you're on stage, when you're performing, when you're anywhere. Don't always look for a pat on the back. Know in yourself that I gave the best I could give, and I feel really good about what I did. If you can walk away from every performance feeling like that, I gave the absolute best I had. I gave it all I had. Regardless of how, even if you messed up, if you can walk away from every single performance saying, I gave the best that I had. Watch how those confidence issues start diminishing. You know what I'm saying? Start watching how those things start to go away when you can literally say, I gave it the best that I had. And I really hope somebody walked away inspired. Or you can go into a nursing home or something like that and play and serve people that you know that can't pay you back. Serving is the key. Adding value to somebody else. That's the key. It's not popular, and it's something this video probably won't go viral, but that's the key. That's the key to be an effective musician with your gift. Not being just a great player, but being effective. I could care less if I'm the greatest bass player in the world. We all would love that title. But I want to be one of the most effective bass players, and musicians rather, in the world. Meaning I used what I had to my full potential, to its full capacity. I maximize it. And because of it, thousands of people around the world are better. This person didn't commit suicide because of how I played and how I connected with them. That person didn't leave their wife or their husband. This person got a better relationship with their kids because of something I heard this dude say. You know what I'm saying? That's using what you have till its fullest potential, maximizing every ounce of what you have. May not been what some of you guys signed up for when you jumped on this live, but it's my prayer and my hopes that something that I've said today has helped somebody here. I don't know. I put it like this. I know the mental strain. We can talk about this subject passively, but I know the mental strain that can have on some of you. That depression that can come with it, that feeling like you're less than everybody in the group, feeling like you're the weakest link in the band. I know that feeling. I know it. I know it very well. So if this can help you to get out of that slump, you're not the weakest link in the band. You're not. You know what I'm saying? You're not the weakest link of musicians around your city. You just haven't blossomed yet. You just haven't came out of your shell yet. It's possible. You have to keep putting in the work, have to keep getting up every day, feeding yourself. And that's the other key thing. Feeding yourself positive stuff. I read the Bible. I don't know what you do. I personally read the Bible. I'm listening to motivational videos. I'm listening to encouraging sermons. I encourage you guys to check out some books by Dr. Miles Monroe. I read a lot. I didn't read at first, but I read a lot of stuff now. Even Jonathan Dubose Jr. I'm reading a book by him right now called Do What You Can What You Do. Jonathan is a phenomenal guitar player. If you don't know who he is, he has two books, Roots, Branches, and Vines, where he kind of shares his story of, I guess, him becoming a professional and that kind of thing. And that's the second book of his I'm reading. And I read a lot of different stuff. I read a lot of self-improvement type books. And again, I told you guys I read the Bible. And those things all help me, because you just can't say I'm going to do a great performance and I'm going to just start going out and doing it. When you go to these places, what's in you will come out. So if you're always putting trash, and this is the last thing I want to say, be mindful of what you take in. TV programming, all of this different stuff, because it will reinforce that sense of negativity in your mind, that sense of low self-esteem, that sense of depression. What you take in will affect you, and it will come out in your playing. If you watch a whole bunch of junk, of course you're going to be looking for self-glorification all the time. If it's a whole bunch of trash you're watching and nothing is ever uplifting, then it's going to be hard for you to focus on things that lift you up or that lift others up, because that's not what you're being exposed to. It's not what goes into you that defiles a man, but it's what comes out that defiles you. So you can take that stuff in all you want, but do know it's going to come out of you. If you eat something that's nasty or something that's just toxic to your body, you might be cool, but that stuff is coming out in some type of way. And if your body can't digest it properly, it's going to make you sick. That's the point I'm saying. If your body can't digest it properly, if your brain can't digest it properly, it's going to make you sick. So if you're taking in junk all the time, you're going to be sick. You're going to be mentally sick. You're going to be depressed. And all that stuff is going to come out in your playing. When you get on stage and you really want to get into it, because you've been putting so much terrible stuff into your system, and it was okay, wasn't nothing wrong with that. But now you have to let something out. So you got to figure out how to balance. Okay, what's the name of the book? This particular book I'm reading is Do What You Can What You Do by Jonathan Dubose Jr. You might have to go to this website. Look it up on Google, Jonathan Dubose Jr. But like I said, you have to be aware of those things, guys. The only way I was really able to kick that confidence issue is I had to start changing what I was taking in. I had to start changing what I was reading, changing the stuff I was listening to. I had to get more disciplined. It might be something that a lot of people don't want to hear anything about, but I had to get way more disciplined about life in general to start changing my mentality. So I know I've spent way too much time on this. Let me read some comments, guys. Hopefully this stuff has been helpful to you. Man, I missed some comments. gonna try to run through as many of them as I can. Music transcends. Spoken word. You inspire me a lot. Thank you, man. Okay, I think this is where I stopped at. I knew I was headed in the right direction when Fitzgerald heard me play and said I was killing. That made me work even harder. Yes, sir. That'll do it, Mr. Phenom, if you even still here. Good morning, David Johnson. Ela, glad to know I'm inspiring you. Martin's greetings to you, man. Music transcends spoken word, has the power to provide you joy and heal the heart. Absolutely, Lionel. You have a gift of exhortation. Oh, wow. Aptitude, attitude gives attitude. Yes, sir. Nathaniel, I see you, man. I run into many church musicians that are exactly the makes you not want to play with them. Yep, William, you're exactly right, man. It's a turnoff. When you see that, it's a turnoff. A really good exhortation. I feel you, William. Let's see here. Yep, it's definitely a turnoff. Hey, Nathaniel, bless. Okay, you're just speaking. Exactly. Too many folks out there confuse intellect with excellence. Confuse intellect and excellence with ego. Absolutely. You couldn't have said that better. Stephen, come on, sir. Yeah, man. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my videos as well, man. Thank you, Nathaniel, man. It's my pleasure to help you guys, and that's why I'm here. Thank you, Joseph. Being different is our strength. As adversity grows, our character makes it possible for us to help others. Yeah, man. Yeah, character. All of this stuff that you go through individually, it helps build character. And for the person, if you're watching, who mentioned that, who sent me the message about what you was dealing with in terms of the confidence, all of this is part of what you need for what your assignment is. Because there are people I've run into that did not deal with confidence issues at all. So we all are different. We all deal with certain things, but confidence might not even be the thing that everybody is dealing with. But those are some things that I personally dealt with. Now I know why I dealt with those things. So I can help people like you, who are watching, who might be dealing with those things now. So when you deal with these things, figure out a way to get through them, but also put a pin in it and note how you were getting through them. Be sure to remember how you got through those things and how you change your mind. So when you reach that kid or that person who is dealing with something similar, you can actually help them. You can add value to them. That's another way. With your story, you add value to people. Alan Tyson, man, my pleasure. Yes, sir. Thank you, bro. I needed that. C-note, my pleasure, man. Thanks a lot, Jermaine. My pleasure from South Africa. What's the name of the book? Okay, I got that. Winners never quit and quitters never win. Expose yourself to things that uplift you and help others. Yes, sir, Lionel. My pleasure. Think and Grow Rich. Rich Dad and Poor Dad. Great books. Yeah, man, they're definitely great books for empowerment. Like I said, guys, if you can, Miles Monroe, if you don't know who he is, I mention him again because that guy had a wealth of information when he was alive. And thankfully, he wrote that stuff down and shared it in books. So now that we can read these things, but he has so many books on principles of leadership and vision, knowing your purpose. All of those different things are important, man. If you're just wondering and you don't know why you're here, you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you don't even know why you're playing music, you can end up wasting a lot of time in your life and not finding any meaning and any value. So if you can pick up any of those books to help you to discover why you were created, why you were here, what's your purpose? You ain't just wandering through and just happen to want to play the bass. There's a reason why you have this thing. There's a reason why you're on this broadcast this morning. You want to learn or you want to grow as a musician. There's a reason behind it. So figure out what that reason is so you can start living and walking in purpose to help as many people as you can before you leave here, or to make some type of impact. Because I want that dash between the year that I got here, 1982, and the year that I leave. I want that dash to mean something. I don't want people to just look at the headstone and like, okay, yeah, he was here for X amount of years. Wow, he was old, or he was really young when he died. Bless his heart. Nah. You want to have the type of legacy that people can't write you out of history. You know what I'm saying? You want to have that type of legacy. People cannot write you out of history. They can't forget about you even if they wanted to. They have to remember you. You want that type of legacy. And that's what I intend to have. That's what I intend to leave, and I encourage you guys to do the same. So again, y'all, I'm sorry for going so long this morning. I pray that this has been helpful to somebody. If you found this helpful, share it with somebody that needs it. Share it. You would be surprised the people who struggle with low self-esteem, who struggle with confidence, who struggle with all of the above. D. They struggle with all these things, man, just simply because, one, a lot of people aren't vulnerable anymore enough to talk about it and be honest about the fact that, yeah, I struggle with that too. Because we all want to appear to have it all together, and that's not it. That's not it. That's not it at all. We don't all have it together. We're all working to be better. Wait for the new lesson about the diminished scale. You said wait for the new lesson about the diminished scale? Yeah, I'm going to put up another lesson where I explain that because, like I said earlier, the thing that I was playing on that last lesson that I posted, and if you're in the monthly membership, I'm going to make a correction to that too. It's not that it's not diminished. The thing that I showed you guys was a diminished like pattern. It's like a diminished idea, but it wasn't necessarily a diminished scale. And I don't want to confuse anybody, because you can go on here and find other information that talks about diminished scales, and you're like, wait a minute, Jermaine said this was a diminished scale. So because I didn't want to have anyone be confused about something that I put up and I called it the wrong thing, I took it down. I took that video down. So if any of you don't see that video, my wife is kin to Miles Monroe. Oh man, that's so cool. Yeah, so if any of you don't see that video that I posted on Saturday, that's why I took it down. Not because the exercise or the course, anything I was showing you were wrong. It's just I called something a scale. I called it a diminished scale, and it wasn't necessarily a diminished scale. And I don't want to confuse people that are going to be coming to that video. And then my theory heads who are going to keep coming to, you know what I'm saying? You understood it, Christoph, but there could be people who could be coming to the video and thinking that's the actual diminished scale. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to be guilty of confusing people and that kind of thing. So I just took it down. I'm like, I'll revamp the video and I'll make sure I verbalize with the correct terms so people aren't confused. The information was still good, but it's just the term that I used to describe what it was I was doing was off, and I didn't want people to be confused. So that's why I took it down. I'll repost that once I make that correction. I think it's just important that people understand past adversity is a life lesson, not a life sentence. Work hard in the moment and build your future. Yep, absolutely, Lionel. Yeah. That adversity is for a reason. It's absolutely for a reason. And it's something from that we can use. The other thing that I didn't share, y'all, God, dog, I've been on here way too long, but this is my last thing. The other thing that I didn't share, one of the most when I started doing, and I've been talking so much about so much stuff, I just couldn't cover every point. But one of my most meaningful moments as a musician, and this one got me. This one really, really, really got me. Was, I started doing the Music Matters tour, and I changed that to Dreams Work Reality. But initially, when I started doing it, I started sharing, and I went to these different schools. And like the second or third year I went, I started sharing with the special needs students. And when I tell you guys, that was one of the most humbling and one of the most rewarding experiences in my entire music career, outside of my first time playing a concert with Canton Jones, and we was in Birmingham, Alabama at the Boutwell Auditorium, and after the concert, almost 500 kids, somewhere in that neighborhood. That might be a little, give or take. But it was a lot of kids came up on the stage and got saved. They gave their life to Christ after we finished playing. That was a super humbling experience as a musician, to see that we just played music and we just did a show, and to see that many people give their life because of that. But next to that, this experience of playing for these special needs kids and seeing how they responded, and hearing, I think the most humbling part was hearing afterwards their teachers. It was the same, almost the same message at every school I went to. Their teachers were telling me, you don't even understand the impact that you made on these kids. Because generally when people come, they have assemblies and they have all these different things at these schools. Nobody thinks about them. Nobody thinks about these kids because they're not like everybody else. They have some type of, I don't want to call it disability, but they have something about them that are different than everybody else. So when everybody else comes, they forget about these kids. And I was guilty. I was just coming, when I initially started my tours to the schools, I was initially coming to music, music teachers and bands and groups and that kind of thing. And I was speaking to the music people. I wasn't thinking about everybody else. But when I started focusing my attention on the special needs people and sharing with them and seeing the joy and excitement that came from them when I came to their schools, again, their educators were telling me, you don't even understand this particular student here. And it was like the same message at every school I went to. This particular person here, he doesn't even talk. He doesn't interact with anybody. He doesn't get involved in anything we do. But when you came, he got involved. We saw him smiling. We'd never seen him smile. He was involved. He was up dancing. He was having a good time. You can't reward that with money. I'm sorry. And this gift that we've been given, we've also been given a purpose for this thing. And I encourage all of you that are watching this, find your purpose. It might not be to go to schools. It might not be to do this or do that, but it's something. Figure out what that is, because your greatest sense of fulfillment is going to come from you doing that thing. And I'm not saying my purpose is to go and always play for special needs classes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that was a moment in time that I needed to do, and I might continue to do it more and share with other, share with other people who need to feel and who need to experience that, because you just never know what you have, how it may change somebody's life. You never know. You just never know. Read this last comment and I'm out, y'all. So I needed some of that. Really blessed me today. Thanks. Joseph, my pleasure, man. Christoph said you are more using a pattern with arpeggios instead of showing an entire scale. Yeah, basically, that's what it was. It's more so that kind of thing. Arpeggio pattern that was more diminished bass than showing the scale. Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty much it, guys. I have to jump off of here. I've been on here way too long, and I know people are gonna look at the length of this video and they're gonna be like, nah, I'm good. So if you want to share this with somebody, there's a sharing function here on YouTube. You can pick a start time that you want people to start this video. So if you want to just kind of screen through all the rest of the stuff and share a particular time, you can do that with YouTube. So you just select it and you pick the start time, and you can share that part of the video, and the video will start where you want them to see it. So if any of you guys want to share this with some of your musicians, some of your teams, that kind of thing, they don't have to watch the entire video. You can pick the start time and simply share it. It's that simple. But anyway, thank you guys again. I've said my salutations and all that type of stuff to you. But thank you so much for hanging with me today. I hope and pray that I've given you something to think about today, and not just today, but just moving forward in your career. And go out there, find your purpose, find your confidence, and enjoy it. I'm Jermaine Morgan, guys. You want more? Want to talk to me more? Visit JermaineMorgan.net. I got tons of stuff there, lessons and calls. I got coaching calls if you want to get more one-on-one. You want to have a conversation one-on-one and just kind of get a little bit more direction. Many people already start taking advantage of those coaching calls, and I encourage you to do the same. If you want to talk more one-on-one, I'd love to make some time for you and to talk to you if you need that. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you for hanging with me. Take care. Peace.